Tumba tukje jan la ge shan tsar shomen chuje anje pop dran na di sam san je gen je ngo nye rang sam jir ge ngon sam don ze tse we la ma non la zur wan de do son ro we lor na ju la jir. Good morning. Thank you for coming. First of all, again, today, I'm very happy to be able to teach all of you the most important teaching, the 8 verses of mind training. These teachings come from Kadampa masters. Kadampa masters, as you know, Ka means speech from the Buddha, and Tibetan Ka means. And Dam means instructions, Piti instructions, Sanskrit Upandesha, and means the essence of the Buddha's own words, and using that as instruction is the meaning of term Kadam. So it's very important teaching. Pit instructions, oral instructions, are the essence of the Buddha's and Buddhist teachings. And according to the Kadampa's tradition, these Pit instructions must be transmitted by someone who has genuinely engaged with them, and also who has great experience of meditation on the bodhicitta mind. That's why Piti instructions are important. So this root text, 8 verse of mind training, was written by the great 11th century master called Langri Thangpa. 8 verses of mind training by Langri Thangpa. His name is Langri Thangpa. Langri Thangpa was one of the 2 main disciples of Potowa, who was a disciple of Atisha, George Padda Atisha. So Sharava and Langri Thangpa are called the sun and moon of Kadam disciples. So this is one of the most important texts from Tibetan spiritual readings known as lojong, right? Lojong, as you know, Patrul Rinpoche had a story about this text in his famous book, The Award of My Perfect Teacher. Maybe you remember this story, maybe you don't. Once Geshe Chakawa, who knew many teachings of both the new and old traditions, and he went to see Geshe Chakshangpa, who was one of the hardest son of Langri Thangpa. And on his pillow, Chakawa saw a small text, and when he opened it, he came across these sentences: "I will take defeat upon myself and give the victory to others. These two, Jongka Renge Limba Tang Jerka Yanlam Bro Shok in Tibet. And Chakawa saw that. And then Chakawa thought, wow, what a wonderful teachings. When we hear this teaching, I don't know what we think, like I will take defeat upon myself and give the victory to others. We think, wow, that's difficult, right? But the bodhisattvas like Chakawa, when they hear this kind of teachings, they're so like, what do you call it, enthusiastic, and then they think, wow, this is wonderful, I can do this, I want to do this, I want to listen to this teaching. So Chakawa thought this is wonderful teaching. So he asked Geshe Chakshangpa what the teaching was called, and he said it's the 8 verses of training the mind from Langri Thangpa. And then Geshe Chakawa asked him again, who holds these instructions, these oral instructions? And he said, Langri Thangpa himself, these 8 verses of mind training written by Langri Thangpa. So he holds this instruction, the instructions. And Chakawa was sort of determined to receive these teachings from Langri Thangpa. But first, Chaka went to Lhasa in Tibet and spent some day circumambulating the sacred places around the Lhasa. And unfortunately, one evening, Chakawa came across a people from Langri Thang, which was Langri Thangpa's birthplace. Langri Thang is still this name, a very, very famous name in Lhasa. So Chakawa, met these people from Langri Thang, and this man told him, Langri Thangpa had passed away. And then Chakawa asked these people who was the holder of Langri Thangpa's lineage. And then he found the lineage holder was Sherab, Geshe Sherab. As I mentioned, Sherab and Langri Thangpa are called the sun and moon of the Geshe Potowa. So at that time, Sherab was given a teaching to the people of Sangha member, and Chakawa had listened to him for a few days, but did not hear him say a word about the teaching that he was looking for. So the Chakawa went to see Sherab, and he said, I have something to ask you. I read these words in a text. I will take defect upon myself and give the victory to others. I liked them very much, these teachings. Is this a profound teaching or not? I want to receive this teaching. Sherab said, whether or not you like or not, this teaching, there is no way to attain Buddhahood without this teaching. And then Chakawa asked, do you hold this instruction? Sherab said, yes, it's my main practice. It's my main practice. And then Chakawa said, please, I beg you, please teach it to me. And Sherab said, yes, I can. Of course, I will teach you if you can stay with me for a long time. And then Chakawa said, of course, that's as much time, as you want me stay with you. So from him, Geshe Chakawa stayed with him for, I think, 6 years. And he received a lot of teachings of mind training during those 6 years. Do you remember this lineage? You remember Potowa was a student of Atisha. And Sharava and Langri Thangpa are students of Potowa. You know Atisha, right? Very famous Kadampa, like this holder of the lineage, Kadam master, probably. Last time we had the 7-point mind training. We talked about Georgi Pardan Atisha. Georgi Atisha was the main teacher from Kadamba Master. So you have to remember this lineage. Potowa, again, Potowa was a student of Atisha, and Sharava and Langri Thangpa, I said, son and moon of the disciple of this Kadambas. So therefore, this is Langri Thangpas. You have to understand these 8 verses of mind training written by Langri Thangpa. So who is Langri Thangpa? So you have to understand what is the lineage of, what is his teacher, and grand teacher. So Langri Thangpa, the student of Potowa, and Potowa student of Atisha. Patrumbuch said this in his book, What Am I Perfect Teacher? When you meditate on the renunciation, meditate on the suffering of samsara, you should meditate on it at all times, like Langri Thangpa. He give an example like Langri Thangpa, so that you can arouse genuine sort of renunciation of samsara from the bottom of your heart. So because Langri Thangpa said in his other teachings, Langri Thangpa said, when I think about all the endless of suffering in samsara, and that there is no happiness, people are suffering, animal beings are suffering, I can't stop crying. So Langri Thangpa really sort of practice these things like renunciation and bodhicitta. That is his main meditation. So this text written by Langri Thangpa, who was again student of Potowa. Do you understand? So you have to all the time you have to remember the teachings. This is like not just a one-day teaching. This is how you learn Tibetan Buddhism, and this amazing teachings from masters. So whenever somebody asks what the 8 verses of mind training, what is the subject, what is the topic, what is the main teaching, practice, pitting, who written this book, you have to understand all of that. Otherwise, just come here today and then listen, and then you don't keep in mind, and then next time you have nothing. So you have to really sort of, this is not just one day. So you have to, if you want to learn Tibetan Buddhism, not only meditation, so you have to understand the teachings. So therefore, like this. This is very short text, like 8 verse. There's 8 stanzas, there's very short text, but was highly recommended by many great masters throughout history. For example, my teacher, His Holiness Kanchen Jigme Phuntsok, he, regarded this text as the principal instruction among all the Dharma teachings, and he imparted in his life. He had taught this text dozens of times when I was there. One time he told us, to be a genuine Dharma practitioner, you must understand the meaning of 3 commentaries, which are one is the 37 practice of Bodhisattva. It's very mind training teaching, good teaching. And then second is Lama Tsongkhapa's the 3 principal aspects of the path. We taught that last year. Do you remember? those things, and then this one, the adverse for training the mind. So he always, he taught these commentaries over and over and again. So he required this, these teachings, the Sangha at Laro Monastery, to recite these three commentaries. He let us memorize this text, and then we recite them like every day, at least, like when you don't practice, but at least you have to recite these teachings. They're not very long. It's very short text. So therefore, the 8 verses of for training the mind can bring tremendous benefit to the practice of both aspiration bodhicitta and action bodhicitta. So this is about mind training. Mind training is about bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is about the essence of enlightenment. So therefore, you have to understand the words of this text. And these texts are very simple, but their meaning is very, very profound. And for like me, like ordinary people, it's very, very difficult. So, for example, I don't have the capacity to, it says, just we talked about defect on myself and give the victory to others. I don't have that capacity. I cannot do that, but I can share a bit more about the topic with you, and I can give you the written transmission. So that's then when you practice this mind training teaching, then you have everything: written transmission, you have the lineage blessings, everything like that. So it's very, very important teaching, and it's very difficult to practice, but don't lose your confidence. Actually, only bodhisattvas who are on the first path or above can fully perfect the practice of 8 verses for training the mind. Nevertheless, we can do similar practice, not like perfectly, but we can. And with these sort of pithy instructions, and also with the blessings of our masters, we can work with it, and our mind continues as much as we can. Therefore, I believe that this text will be of a great help to the majority of Dharma students and practitioners, both in their practices and as well as way to help to behave properly. So this is mind training among Langri Thangpa's pithy instructions on Dharma practice. And this text was composed on the basis of bodhicitta pithy instructions of Atisha and Potowa. So it's amazing. This lineage blessing is so amazing, so amazing. So we have some not only intellectual understanding, but experience like about bodhicitta we have. So once we have that sort of good foundation, top of that, we need these teachings. So at verse, in this text are 8 key instructions of Mahayana practice, right? For example, the first 7 verses deal with the method for generating a kind mind, bodhicitta mind. And the 8th verse deals with wisdom, discriminating awareness. So all of these 8 verses together can be called an introduction to mind training. So this root text explains how to train our mind with method and wisdom, so that we can change our attitude when we are in dangers of sort of becoming upset. And they can be practiced directly and will have an immediate effect on our spiritual development. So we can free ourselves from the self-centeredness through these practices, because we can find those instructions in the verses for training the mind. That's why they called it training the mind, or lojong, right? In Tibetan, lojong. Lojong literally means training the mind. Lo means mind in Tibet. Lo means mind. Lo, sim, rikpa, all of these things, shipa, all of that's it's a mind. And then jong means training, So lobjong, this is lobjong teaching for some beginners, or those who don't really want to put the teachings into practice. The 8 verses might seem too simple, but for genuine Dharma practitioners, the practice of even one of these verses is of great benefit. His Holiness Kachin Jigme Pancho also said, one can even attain enlightenment just by practicing one of this verse in our life. So I think you have great interest in mind training. Of course, it's very important for Buddhist practitioner. Mind training is the so we have been many years to practice bodhicitta, right? Very important. And we understand bodhicitta. We know how to practice bodhicitta. We know how important bodhicitta. So thank you very much for that. And I'm very sure when you begin to practice, this will give you your life's meaning and benefit you as well as others, because when you practice mind training, your mind will become kind, and your love and your compassion will increase. So for that reason, this is a very important teaching. And these practices will give you the opportunity to discover the essence of your life, because through practice and mind training meditation, you will be able to understand the essence of meaningful life. And the essence of this practice is actually, I think, commitment, right? Commitment and inspiration to work towards enlightenment for the sake of all beings. So actually, 3 things: bodhicitta and commitment. So sometimes, we encounter very sort of negative people, or people who have people we have helped who are ungrateful. If we become sort of angry and upset at them, we lose our ability to be of any help. But with the mind training methods, we can change our attitude towards them, so that we not only remain calm, but are better able to be of help to others. So I think that is in general sort of introduction about mind training. Of course, you know these teachings, but I just give you the little bit sort of the biographies of Langri Thangpa and his teachers, and give you the the lineage and introduction mind training. So keep that in mind. And now I'm going to start with the first instruction of the 8 verses of mind training. So you have the sheets, right? Okay. So first, verse 1, always hold others as dear and precious. The root text, it says, by thinking of all sentient beings is more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel. For accomplishing the highest aim, I will always hold them supremely dear. Dan simchin tamchila yivjin nor lilhakpi donchok dubi sambai tak the chibran zumber show. This is in Tibet. So every genuine Dharma practitioner should hold fully to an aspiration like this. I will think of all sentient beings who are wandering in samsara, and they are more precious than wish-fulfilling jewel. For this reason, I am determined to work for the ultimate benefit and for the well-being of all sentient beings who I will always hold as dear and precious. That's our motivation, right? We always, when we practice, listen, teaching, and we meditate, we correct motivation. But here says, all sentient beings are more important than wish-fulfilling jewel. Why are sentient beings more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel? Because the wish-fulfilling jewel doesn't have the power to grant us the greatest benefit. If we plant the seed of bodhi, or means a kind mind, then it will bring us the greatest benefit. By cherishing all other beings, we are able to attain ultimate benefit, which is attain enlightenment, right? We have understand that enlightenment is based on 2 things, right? Enlightenment is very important, but it's based on 2 things: the kindness of beings, all sentient beings, and kindness of our teachers, gurus. Those 2 things, those 2 very important. These 2 are equal. Sentient beings and way of the Bodhisattva Shantadewa explains why they are equal. Buddhas and sentient beings are equal, right? We have to respect both as same. These 2 are equal and very important because enlightenment is based on these 2 things: kindness of sentient beings, kindness of gurus. So very important. Now there are 2 attitudes to consider: selfishly cherishing ourselves and kindly cherishing others. The self-cherishing attitude is when we think we are extremely important and our basic sort of desire is for ourselves to be happy. And easy, right? Easy to understand, for things to go well for us. But selfish people bring negative actions. And as a result of that, they are not happy. And on the other hand, there are people like Buddha or like Shantadewa, great bodhisattva, or like our teachers, great masters, who are like selflessly serving other beings for their entire life, and we have good examples and we have also bad examples. So even in this life, if we try to help others as much as we can, then we shall experience much happiness. If we are selfish and are always putting ourselves first and ignoring others, and not only that, harming others, then the actual result will be suffering. That's the main thing. And we will not be good people of this world. So the important thing is that as long as we are a human being, we should be a good human being. Um, um, whether you are Buddhist or not, that is the teachings of Buddhism, good human being. What makes good human being? Kind mind, bodhicitta, that's all. Simple as that. Good human being. That's why this mind training is so important. So at first, when we try to control our disturbing negative mind, it is difficult, but with constant effort, our negativities will gradually sort of diminish and decrease. Therefore, we can see that if we want to fulfill our wishes, we should try to help others as much as we can, because there's no reason to stop helping others. It is good for both us and others. So if we were to Shantadeva said, if we were to wait until we had a completely sort of pure and good motivation and we have a capacity before we try to do positive things, we would probably never do anything beneficial in this life. My teacher, Kadampa, will always say, why you always think about attain enlightenment? Just do now, just do help others as much as you can. Because the reason you want to attain enlightenment, the main reason is you want to help others. That's the only the thing. But if you help others right now, then it doesn't matter attain enlightenment or not. So you are a good human being. So when you help others, don't think like huge, big, but just help others as much with your capacity. So therefore, Shantadeva said that if you wait, then we would probably never do anything, beneficial. So we should be aware of our motivation when we try to help others. So that's very important. When your mind sort of gets a little bit closer to the Dharma, you will start to find that you have less interest in negative emotions and things that go on around you. All the these things, pride, jealousy, anger, attachment, and so forth, that you see others display will mean less to you. So therefore, this mind training is very, very important. So that is about the first verse. Okay, the first verse. This the 8 verses of mind training. So this is the main thing is we will always hold others very important. I always say we think about first ourselves, of course, but we should not try to ignore others and harm others. That's dagna simchin tamchila yujan nor lilha pisid. By thinking all sentient beings is more precious than wish fulfilling joy. I don't know wish fulfilling joy. I think it's not anymore exist, but maybe long time ago there was wish fulfilling joy. But it doesn't matter. The most important is we have to really understand the meaning of this verse and then try to, copy and put it into our practice. That's the first verse, okay? And then now meditation, very important. So first, this is the three things, right? Wisdom, three wisdoms. First, you have to listen, and then investigate the teachings, and then you try to put them into practice. So that's why if we do this, we have teaching, you listen, and then we investigate, we have to understand the teaching, and then we meditate. So that's how we do it. So now the meditation. So again, this teaching is about mind training, which is about bodhicitta. Okay, you have to understand that mind training is bodhicitta, sometimes renunciation. Mind training has three things, remember? Renunciation, bodhicitta, and the nature mind, the dzogchen. So these three things are the key to attain enlightenment. So therefore, everything. So we're going to practice today. I think we're going to practice equanimity. Okay, equanimity. This is because according to Buddhism, to develop genuine bodhicitta, a genuine compassion. Teachers say we must first practice the meditation of equanimity. This is because our love, for instance, and compassion towards our friends is actually attachment. So it's not genuine like love and compassion. So therefore, this feeling, this feeling is not based on the realization that all beings have an equal right to be happy and to overcome suffering. So that is why all sentient beings, including animals, should be viewed as equal. That's Buddhist point of view. So therefore, when we practice for measurable, first we practice equanimity, because very important. Otherwise, we're developing. There is dangerous. This for measurable, like if you practice love and compassion towards your friends or whatever, it's actually attachment. So you are developing attachment instead of compassion. So therefore, equanimity is very important. So meditate on equanimity. Remember, Bhakti Rinpoche said we should first think about a small group of people, such as whatever your family, your friends, to whom we have attachment. So you have to visualize that. And then second, we should think about some people we really don't care about, people or animal or whatever, like that group. Second, and then third is we should think about some. Today we should think about like animals, and as we are meditating on these three groups of beings, then we notice how we feel about each of them, and we should think about making our feelings towards them equal. That's the reason. That's the reason. So it's not equal. Clearly, you have your friends, your loved ones, whatever, and then you don't care somebody, that group, and then maybe Bhakti Rinpoche says if you have enemy, like you don't like people or whatever, so three groups. But if you want instead, like if you don't have enemy, then we should think about a group of animals there. Okay. So animals, and then we have people you don't care, like neutral people, and then you have a group of one you really love them, and so then how you feel, it's totally different. You don't have this equalness, So then that's the reason. So you have to feel about each of them, and then try to, think about, making our feelings towards them equal. Why not equal? This is also like at the same time you are developing wisdom. Why they are same? Why not they're equal? And think also about all of these beings who are just like us, right? Just like you, me, and means like Button, which always say, take your own life as an example for these beings. And when you think of this, equalness, like sameness of these beings to your own body, your own life, whatever, in this way, you will experience that all are equal. And practice with this thought in your meditation, pattern, which you also said, until your mind has changed. Your mind has changed. And then, once your mind changed, you really feel like, oh, they're equal. I don't want to harm this. I want all these beings, three group of beings are equally, I want happy. I want, don't want them suffering. Like if you have that kind of feeling, you develop that. You have to develop that feeling. And then you make a commitment. That's what I'm saying. These teachings are two things, bodhicitta and commitment. Commitment is very important in mind training, practice mind training. So then you make a commitment, say, I'm not going to harm any beings as much as I can, and I'm going to help them as much as I can. So that is your commitment, right? So once you have really sort of feeling, not just intellectual, but genuine feeling like that, I really don't want to harm other. Like if you develop that, that's your bodhicitta. That's your compassion. So that's your commitment. And so that's according to pattern, which is instructions, how to practice on equanimity. I mean, you all know this, how to do it, but just to, remind you. So you have to alternate this, analytical. This is analytical meditation, right? Analytical meditation. And also with like rest in meditation, because means like once you're done analyzing like that, and you really feel like everything is equal and you don't want harm, that's a great virtuous. I think it's because of bodhicitta. So then you make a commitment and then just sit with your realization, for as long as you can. Once you have been able to equalize how you feel about all beings, then you can begin to practice genuine compassion, genuine love towards all beings. And then Bhattaramba also said, once you feel like that everything is sameness, equal, this thing, you have that, and then just relax there and don't analyze anything. Relax, rest your mind. So that's how we develop aspiration, the relative bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. So the union of these two bodhicitta we call enlightenment. So we'll do that for 10 minutes. Okay? So, yeah. Correct your motivation and relax both your mind and body. And then sometimes I say like, Guru, think of me. Guru, think of Lama Chen, Lama Chen, Lama Chen, Lama. In Tibetan, Lama Chen means think of Guru, think of me. So that you really feel that you're lineage, the blessing, the energy. If you say that from the bottom of your heart. Sometimes meditation is hard, like just like what do you call it, superficial. You're pretending to meditate, but you're not really meditate because you don't have this heart, really, like what do you call it, like stingible heart feeling. Just sometimes you have really strong and powerful meditation. It's okay, both are fine as long as you try meditate. So it's all of you, it's like Buddhism. So we have to visualize Buddha Shakyamuni is very important for us. All right, very, very important. So you say, Guru, think of me, means Buddha Shakyamuni, Bhammasambhava, whatever your teachers, and then you feel that from your heart, and then you visualize these three group of people, and and then this change your mind, this change your heart, and then it gives you really, great, what do you call it, enthusiasm and enjoyment. And if you have that heart feeling, after that you meditate, it makes you really happy. Okay, so 10 minutes. Very good. Take a break. What is the essence of this teaching? I mean, the first verse. What?
Holding others as supremely dear.
Yep. Very good. Who was the Atisha's student? Potowa. Who was Potowa's student? Very good. Who was the Langri Thangpa's student? Chakawa. Not really Chakawa, but yeah, he's Chakshangpa, right? Geshe Chakshangpa was Langri Thangpa's main student. And from Chakshangpa, the Geshe Chakawa received the adverse mind training from Chakshangpa. Geshe Chakshangpa. Who was the Adisha's teacher? Seralangpa, right? Seralangpa. If Seralangpa went to India, yep. Adisha was from India, and Seralangpa went to India. Actually, Adisha went to what is this country name? Indonesia, and I found his teacher there. And then Adisha went back to India. And then Adisha went to Tibet, and then he taught there, and all these Kadampa masters came from Adisha. So it's very good.
A question about unconditional love, like that, which a parent feels for a child when a child is born. How does that fit into equanimity? It's not, is it? Since there's no, there can be grasping, but in the beginning, it just like descends upon you or something. I don't know. It just shows up, unconditional love, which has no object really.
Unconditional love to the child.
But then you're.
But that's not really.
Attached
That's why there's.
But when I first felt it, I wasn't attached to anything. I just felt the love.
Or maybe you have unconditional love then.
There you go.
I don't think so. I mean, I think all parents often feel it.
Yeah, that's mixed love and attachment.
Yeah, and then they get attached.
They need to practice equanimity then. It's good, right? Love and the love and attachment is temporarily very good, but you can't develop the measurable love. Only unconditional love for specific people or whatever, something, but not really. That's not genuine, I think, but it's very difficult. I think that's not the point. I think point is we need something like precious thought, like that. I really don't want to harm others. That's the thing. Because they're like me, is equal as like me, I don't want suffering, so do they, so I don't want harm. So when you have a circumstance, it will teach you this verse, but when you have very difficult circumstance, what should you do? Usually we all have this bodhicitta part of kind of like, I don't want to harm others, I want to help. But sometimes we have a very difficult circumstance, we will forget our bodhicitta and then we say negative things, we do bad things, so we are totally out of our meditation. What should we do at that time? It will teach us.